Shamone Alvarez is fighting in front of his hometown fans, putting an undefeated record on the line. Has to get by a very determined veteran who feels like he's hitting his stride. It's Alvarez against Germaine Sanders in a 12-round welterweight showdown. Well, good look at Germaine Sanders, little old school Roy Jones Jr. there, 37-year-old, 9-year pro. 6 fights in a row he has won. His record now stands at 27-3 with 17 knockouts. Takes a little work to get that wardrobe off, though, doesn't it? Not the rip-away style. He's had 2 layoffs in recent years that lasted well over a year each. Most recently, he ended a layoff on April 26. Decision Emmanuel Clottey, the older brother of welterweight contender Josh Clottey. Shamone Alvarez, he is from right here in Atlantic City. 30 years old. He's taken a very conservative but steady approach in the management of his career. He stands now at 18-0 with 11 knockouts. Second 12-round fight of his career. Look at his last 5. You'll see that he's coming off the first 12-round fight of his career. A win over 32-win veteran. And that happened on June 2nd. Unbeaten southpaw Alvarez against the natural lefty who fights orthodox. Should be a good stylistic matchup. And after being ousted by the locals in the Bronx last week, now Saul returns to action in his weekly non-speaking role opposite Teddy Atlas in the fight plan.
Atlantic City, the Boardwalk, saltwater taffy, cotton candy. Both these fighters are looking for a sweet win tonight. And a little something to chew on for Alvarez. I'll be Alvarez, the southpaw. He's got a deal. Are you finished your cotton candy? That's nice here. He's got a deal with Sanders, who's going to be moving a little bit. So it's up to Alvarez to use the jab, cut the ring down a little bit, go to the body, and get himself in position. Maybe no cotton candy, but a nice win. We have nuts to go along with the cotton candy and the saltwater taffy. What we really need, I think, believe it or not, is Mexican jumping beans. Because watch the habit of Alvarez, the southpaw, who Saul's going to play. I'm going to play Sanders. He has a habit, after he throws, he gets out. Watch what he does. He jumps up and down. He hits his gloves together while he resets. That's a perfect spot while he's doing that for Sanders, who I am, to jump on him. Step right in, behind the jab, bang, right hand. You know that works against southpaws. So while he's jumping up and down, hey, if you're Sanders, go nuts. Get right on him, get a win.
I think Saul's still eating that cotton candy. 12-round fight. David Francioso is the referee.
Yourself at all times. When I ask you to break, give me a good clean break. Touch him up, good sportsmanship. Let's go.
Francioso wants the good sportsmanship. We hope we get it. The Just for Men ring experience. Alvarez, 4 fewer years as a pro. 30 fights for Sanders. He has logged more rounds, and many expect this is a fight that will likely go the distance between these 2 tacticians. A good look at Shamone Alvarez, whose second assistant is Bill Johnson, the father of the late world champion Levander Johnson, who Alvarez was a very dear, close friend of course, Levander Johnson, the heartbreak of 2 years ago, passing away after a title fight.
I think this is going to be an interesting match. I'll say it right now, maybe, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, maybe not an exciting match because of the styles and the tactical approaches and mentalities of both these fighters, but I think an interesting match to watch. Sanders, he'll move on you a bit, he'll pick spots, he'll go in and out, he'll look to counter, look to set up shots, and he'll grab, as you see right there.
Does it right from the start. Sanders is in the black trunks, Alvarez in the white.
If you're Alvarez, you want to use that jab to stabilize Sanders on the outside. Keep him from pot shot, and you keep something coming at him so he doesn't pick his spots. Also, you want to cut the ring down when he moves, close the gap, and you want to do what you saw Alvarez try to do right there. Goes downstairs to the body, try to take some of the air out of those tires so Sanders can't wheel around the ring all night long. And the final thing you want to do with Alvarez, you don't want to get tied up on the inside.
Alvarez scored moments ago. Germaine Sanders back in 2002 was TKO'd by Teddy Reed. He was stopped in the third. He went down twice, of course, back in 2002. Teddy Reed was a very threatening fighter, especially at 146 pounds. He could always bring it.
Alvarez is southpaw in the white trunks. You know, he can switch around if he has to. If he gets into a desperate situation, he's got to go southpaw. Or he has to go, I'm sorry, if he has to go from the other side of the plate, orthodox, he can do that, Joe. He fought his first 3 years from the orthodox position. He was turned into a southpaw.
What do you make of that, Teddy, in terms of managing a young fighter's career, converting him
if
from
he's more
orthodox to
comfortable,
southpaw?
you know, if he's more comfortable there, sometimes that's a natural side for somebody. Not just because, you know, they were born that way, not just because that was always their, you know, dominant hand, but they just feel more comfortable that way. It's something that they crave for, they yearn for. And if they're more comfortable, sometimes accommodate them.
Did you ever change a guy in midstream like that?
No, I can't say that I have.
And now a series of clubbing rights and lefts from Alvarez.
I remember Kennedy McKinney, who won a world title. Kenny Adams and his group of people did a great job of turning McKennedy around in midstream, and he won a world title.
Coming to the end of round number 1, a good opening round for Atlantic City's Shamone Alvarez.
One day you find it's not business as
There's a man who handles it very, very well. One of our bigger supporters and fans of Friday Night Fights, Jimmy Brown. We're glad to have him with us.
Jimmy Brown, big Friday Night Fight fan and a man who benefits from the Dr. Theodore Atlas Foundation. I remember it was very emotional a couple years ago seeing Jimmy at the dinner, and where he received some assistance and help from the generous supporters of the foundation. Round 2 scheduled for 12. Alvarez in that first round, a 19-3 connect advantage. Germaine Sanders, warning from Franciosi, sparred with David Diaz, helped him get ready for his victory over Eric Morales recently.
You know, I talked about Alvarez would have no problems if he needs to turn around and fight from the orthodox position. Well, Sanders, who fights from that position, the orthodox position, naturally a left-hander. So you would think a lot of confidence would be in that lead hand, the jab and the hooks. The natural hand, the dominant hand for Sanders. Again, the confidence and the experience of Sanders is all about moving a little bit, picking spots. Not a real busy guy. He can be out-hustled quite easily. But he'll pick spots, he'll get in, he'll get out. And he will do that. He will neutralize you on the inside from doing any infighting. He will grab you. And again, I think it's Alvarez's job not to tangle. You know, it takes two to do that dance. It's up to Alvarez on the inside, step back, push off, rotate his shoulders, whatever he's got to do to get those hands moving.
Got him moving moments ago with a two-punch combination. Now he charges in, tries to land the straight left hand, does the southpaw.
Some inactivity for Sanders before his last fight. He was off 1 year and 3 months.
Came back in April 2007.
All but 2 of Sanders' fights have been in the state of Illinois. Good amateur. He had 200 bouts. So he's comfortable wheeling around that ring. He's been there a long time.
His big win after that long layoff you described was in New York against Emmanuel Clottey. Emmanuel Clottey, of course, a veteran of 24 wins.
You know, Joe, you always hear guys say, I want to fight my fight. But what you don't hear is, will the opponent allow it? Right now, Alvarez allowing Sanders to fight his fight, allowing him to move around on the outside, pick spots, get out without being touched. Alvarez not using his jab to stabilize Sanders and to keep this from happening. Sanders coming in when he wants. That's what you want to see from Alvarez. Get inside and bang downstairs.
Trying to block those body blows with that left hand. Coming to the end of round 2. Here are the welterweight rankings, Ring Magazine's. Fighter number 1, 3, and 5 will be on Friday Night Fights next week. Zab Judah will be in the ring taking on Edwin Vasquez. Miguel Cotto and Shane Mosley will be with Brian Kenny in studio together to talk about their upcoming super bout. That is a phenomenal way to end up the Friday night fight season. Plus, Lamont Peterson of the Peterson brothers, the undefeated prospect in the co-feature. So Peterson, Judah Vasquez, Cotto Mosley, Friday night fights next week.
Hasn't happened yet, but you know, Sanders, watching some of the tapes and doing some of the homework on him to get ready for this call, I noticed that he has an ability sometimes to cut guys with punches. Whether it's because he gets a certain snap, a certain torque on his punches, catches guy in vulnerable areas, you know, around the facial area, whatever it happens to be. And you could see a cut come here and change this fight around. Alvarez was cut over his left eye 3 fights ago.
Peppy start to this third round from Shamone Alvarez. Just missed with the uppercut to Germaine Sanders. Germaine Sanders tries to come back with a left hand. Goes back to the uppercut again on the inside. Alvarez flicking out that right jab.
Talked about most of the fight in Illinois for Sanders. Most of Alvarez's fight have been in this state, in New Jersey.
The very likable 30-year-old Shamone Alvarez dedicates himself to this community. He's a full-time social worker, works with young children who he says just need a little guidance, and that is his inspiration. Tries to put forth his best in the ring. Thinks it won't be long before he's in there against one of the real big names in the game, but he has to continue to impress, and tonight a chance to do that against Sanders.
But this fight is close, and if it is competitive, and if it becomes a tough fight for Alvarez, I think it's going to be because he stands on the outside too much, especially if he's not jabbing. If he's going to be outside, he must use that southpaw jab. Otherwise, on the outside, Sanders' confidence will grow. See, the inside is where Sanders, as you saw there, he's going to have problems. But on the outside, left alone, he can do that. He can pick spots.
They're on the outside now. Sanders pause and range finds with that left hand.
I was in the corner of Alvarez, Joe. I would tell him, listen, I don't want you standing on the outside with this man unless you're using your jab. Otherwise, take a walk around the block. You know, go downtown a little bit, change your distance, but don't just stand there on the outside with this taller guy. Either get in like he just did or be pumping a jab at him.
Got in and put forth a 4-punch combination as we come to the end of round number 3. Sanders and Alvarez on Friday Night Fights from AC. Shamone Alvarez in the white trunks coming out for round number 4 against Germaine Sanders. 30 years old, 18-0, slow and steady approach to his career. He said, I feel real happy about the pace of my career. He says, you know, maybe if it went faster, it wouldn't have worked out like this.
Sanders hurting himself not grabbing any early rounds because he's the man who's never been past 10 rounds. Alvarez has been the 12-round distance once, so as we get into the late waters, you figure the confidence having been there will favor Alvarez to conduct himself maybe a little better. Sanders needs to capture some early rounds before he gets into those waters where he has to worry.
Sanders moments ago scored on the inside. Alvarez with a right uppercut that caught Sanders.
You know, I always talk about what guys do in there, the styles that they approach this business with is an attachment of what they are as people, their temperaments. It's not just the physical makeup, but it's the mental, the emotional makeup. They are what they are as people, and they represent that. It's the way they behave as fighters. Sanders is a very, very careful guy. Gets out hustled, too careful. Does not do a lot. Always looking for one spot, looking too much. And you can't blame it on anything physical because he came in here tonight, Joe, the lightest weight in over 7 years. So he's in great shape. There you can see a right hand that Sanders would be well advised to use more with the southpaw. Watch that bouncing we talked about in the fight plan of Sanders. That could be an opportunity as the rounds go on for Sanders to land on Alvarez. Watch Alvarez when he steps out. After he throws something, he'll step out. Now he's throwing right now. And then a lot of times when he gets out in front, he didn't do it that time. He'll start going up and down.
Good exchange on the inside moments ago when Sanders tripled his left hand. There it is. And then Alvarez came back on the inside.
Again, there's the bounce you see, and they're hitting together the gloves. Just look for that. That's something that Sanders must look for.
Alvarez comes in behind the jab, goes to the body.
Well, you just said it. Alvarez comes in not being kept out by the taller, longer Sanders. No jab, no punches from Sanders. No reason for Alvarez not to go inside where it suits his style.
Welcome, that was out. He walked right in. Left hand, little flurry on the inside. Alvarez closes out this fourth.
Let's retrace some of the action from tonight, and most of it is that. Alvarez, the southpaw, walking in that front door, as Joe said, and going downstairs, and then finally going upstairs with an uppercut. That uppercut's available for Alvarez, Joe, because just look at Sanders. As you said, he puts the welcome mat out. He lets you walk in. He doesn't throw anything at you. He covers up, puts those, earmuffs on, lets you go to the body, and he doesn't move his head. You come right up the middle, and that uppercut can be there as a big punch for Alvarez.
Couple of 30-something welterweights going at it here on Friday Night Fights. One of the great welterweights of all time is our special guest analyst tonight, Sugar Ray Leonard. Ray, your observations so far in this main event?
What I see with Alvarez, he's more effective when he works his jab inside, get inside, and let those hands go. I mean, he's very effective, great hand speed, and great combinations. Whereas Sanders was just kind of picking his shots, waiting for that right hand to drop in. But I think for Alvarez, he needs to get in closer and let those hands go.
Ray, if you were working with a fighter, a guy like Sanders, you see he has a good body, you see he has physical assets, he has experience, he has skill sets, but he doesn't use them enough. He just plain doesn't do enough. What would you say to a guy like that? How would you get into that guy to help him?
Well, first of all, Teddy, I would tell him, do you want this? Do you want to win? Because he has the physical attributes. He has height and reach advantage, a great jab when he uses it. He even throws great body shots, Teddy, but he won't do it. He'll do it every now and then, and that will not win a fight.
Ray, yesterday when we spent some time with Shamone Alvarez, he made the comment that, he's still trying to improve. He feels every fighter always has to still try to improve, and you can always learn, you can always better yourself. I'm curious, you've seen basically Alfonso Gomez, who's there in studio tonight, grow up in front of your eyes. What does Alfonso Gomez still have to improve on?
Well, I tell you, Alfonso has improved each and every fight, and he gets better, smarter, more economical, too, when he throws his punches. He makes every punch count. And basically, I think as he continues to grow and prosper, he'll become even much better fighter with his combinations.
Sugar Ray Leonard, great job in studio tonight with Brian Kenny and Alfonso Gomez. Of course, we will see Ray this year throughout the season number 3 of The Contender. Thanks, Ray. Round 5 here. Sanders and Alvarez, last 20 seconds.
Right there, you can see again when there's separation after punching from Alvarez, you see some of that bouncing. But it's up to Sanders to take advantage. There's the bouncing there.
Fights from the Phillips Ballroom here at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. I'm Joe Tessitore, ringside with Teddy Atlas, our main event. Germaine Sanders, the 37-year-old veteran of 27 wins in the black trunks, taking on Atlantic City's undefeated welterweight, Shamone Alvarez. Teddy Atlas's scorecard through 5 rounds, 50-46, an even second round. All the others going for the local boy done good, Shamone Alvarez.
You don't have to be Columbo to investigate why this scorecard is this way. Sanders not busy enough on the outside where he has an advantage with height, but he doesn't use it by moving those hands. in spots, he looks for the right hand, a favored punch against the southpaw, but that's the problem. Too few spots. The biggest problem right now for Alvarez is keeping his trunks up.
You can see them kind of tailing off in the back there. Those white trunks. He tries to pull at them. And those trunks are very detailed. You can see the artist work of the in memory of the fallen champ Evander Johnson, who's also a native of Atlantic City and was lost 2 years ago. Fallen warrior of this sport and a dear friend, lifelong friend to Shamone Alvarez.
Again, you got to grab opportunities. You got to look for opportunities, especially when you're behind in a fight, which we think Sanders is. And again, like we said in the fight plan, just watch Alvarez, who gets the better of it on the outside, or actually on the inside. When he goes back out, sometimes he'll go into that bounce, and you see it right there. And while he's bouncing, that's what you want to see. You want to see Sanders move in.
Sanders, the aggressor here at the midpoint of this 6th round, forcing the action. Alvarez now able to pick his spot there. Sanders tries to come in and split that guard with a straight right hand.
Sanders doing the most work in this round that he's done all night long. And again, if Alvarez stands on the outside and Sanders just makes up his mind to get involved in this fight, Alvarez could have trouble.
He has definitely made up his mind to be more the aggressor here in this 6th round. His most active round so far tonight.
And you know, the funny thing is, Sanders doesn't have to be aggressive in the way we think of in aggression. He doesn't have to move forward. Just has to be aggressive mentally and with his hands, moving his hands aggressively on the outside, but doesn't have to come forward. Can use that reach advantage well on the outside and look for those right hands.
End of 6, scheduled for 12 here in Atlantic City. We're back on June 2nd. Shannon Briggs was defeated by Sultan Ibragimov, and Ibragimov won the WBO heavyweight championship. And we're so glad to be joined by the WBO champ, who now is preparing himself to take on Evander Holyfield in October in a title defense in Russia. First of all, what kind of reaction are you getting, Sultan, about the fact that you're fighting Holyfield? This is a fight that really is getting a lot of people's interest because of the fact that it's Holyfield.
I know this fight will be a very interesting fighter because Holyfield, he's fighter, he's warriors. I like fighters like Holyfield. Will be a very good show, very good fight. I'm ready for a fight tomorrow. I'm ready for a fight for next month. I'm ready for a fight. It will be a very good, interesting fight in heavyweight.
Of course, Evander Holyfield, a great warrior, great world champion, a guy older than you, a guy that you had a chance to watch as you were coming up. How does it feel to, I mean, first question, I guess, is he a guy you respected a lot? Is he a guy that was an idol of yours, a guy that you looked up to? And how does it feel fighting him?
I feel great. Holyfield is his chance being a champion 5th time because he will be ready for this fight. Why I more difficult working in the gym, difficult work and hard work.
Are you a fan of Holyfield's? Were you, before you're fighting him, were you a fan of his?
Yeah, of course. I saw his fight. Best fight was in 1994-5, and I remember is Riddick Bowie. I don't remember. I remember that fight was great fight in heavyweight. He'll be in October 13th, same like that fight.
October 13th, it'll take place at the Ice Palace in Moscow. Sultan Ibragimov, 21-0, 17 knockouts, putting up his WBO heavyweight title against Evander Holyfield. Sultan Ibragimov, Ring Magazine's #6 heavyweight in the world. Round number 7 here. Sanders against Alvarez. Sultan, if you were to pick out any one key game plan, the strategy against Holyfield, what is it?
I got a lot of plans for this fight. We know his last fight, we saw his last fight, very dangerous to go to the straight head and elbows. Why we ready for this fight? We making everything for in the gym.
you would like to wear a headgear.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea against Holyfield.
And you'd like to go in there with a headgear.
Sultan, good luck.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you on October 13th.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, Sultan.
Sultan Ibragimov, WBO heavyweight champion. Charges in, does Sanders, and catches Alvarez with a series of right hands, and now he's looking to headhunt there. Alvarez comes back with a combination, flicks out that quick jab.
And you know, you see what we talked about early, Joe? Sanders, the experienced guy, if he had to pull it out of his hat, he could turn southpaw because he's naturally left-handed. Guess what? This round, he turned southpaw and did some work from there. Things have turned a little bit the last 2 rounds in favor of Sanders. One of the reasons, something missing from the attack of Alvarez, the jab. He's not getting inside where he should work, being the shorter guy, the physically stronger guy. He should be inside banging away, especially since that was available to him earlier in the night. But no jab coming at Sanders, so Sanders getting a little confident.
5 rounds to go. Friday night fights here in Atlantic City. Germaine Sanders and Shamone Alvarez in our main event. Teddy's scorecard 68-66. Alvarez next week on Friday night fights. Zab Super Judah against Edwin Vasquez in our main event. Sanders coming out, trying to place right hands upstairs early on in this 8th round. He is in the black trunks. Sanders, a 9-year pro. Comes from the inner city of Chicago. Talked a lot about growing up under tough conditions.
You can see Sanders again on the outside looking for spots, and he's being left alone. No jab coming at him, so look at him. He's nice and calm, nice and collected. He's looking for a right hand. Pouring with that jab, just measuring with it and hoping that he can get a shot with that southpaw killer, the straight right. Again, those plans get disrupted, Joe. Those plans of Sanders to stand on the outside as the taller man, they really get disrupted when Alvarez uses that southpaw jab.
Come on, watch your head.
Doesn't use it all the time. At least not the last 2 rounds. Again, opportunities for Alvarez to walk in that front door behind the jab, and then once he gets in there, as you said, the welcome mat is out quite often. Sanders will just cover up, stand straight, give you a chance to tattoo the body and drive something up the middle with an uppercut, but Alvarez deciding to stay on the outside. There he goes inside. Right now, if I was Alvarez, I almost wouldn't pay attention to the left hand of Sanders because it's pretty obvious he's looking for right hands. He pauses, he pushes out, he measures with the left. No intention of doing damage. Look at him.
There's an example of it right there. And Alvarez completely disregarded that left hand and just shot off 2 straight lefts of his own, did the southpaw.
Look at that. Look at that pouring with the left hand. Not a weapon, just a measuring stick. Everything in Sanders' mind is being set up with the right hand. And again, as you said, Alvarez, when there's a pouring jab, there's nothing keeping you out. You can walk right in. And Alvarez has done that 2 or 3 times this round.
Doubles up a jab of his own, does Alvarez. Right hand to the body from Sanders.
5 seconds.
End of 8, scheduled for 12.
Some action from the last round. You see that pouring jab of Sanders. There it is right there, doing a little blocking with it. And when there's a pouring jab, there's nothing keeping you out. And you can see right there, Alvarez, well, he came in and he got some punches off on Sanders.
Round 9, Joe Tessitore alongside Teddy Atlas here at Phillips Ballroom in Atlantic City. Teddy's scorecard through 8 rounds, 78-75 for the 18-0 Shamone Alvarez.
Alvarez 7 years younger than Sanders, so you would expect that work rate when we watch the punch numbers to favor the younger man.
Sanders, 37 years old, talked a lot about all that experience. He says this is wisdom versus youth. He's a boxer. I'm a wise boxer was the exact quote he gave us.
Maybe a wise boxer, but not a busy boxer.
Not enough. Alvarez, the busier man here in the early goings of this 9th round as well. Four unanswered punches from Alvarez. Missed with the uppercut, came back with the left hand upstairs.
Sanders has beaten a southpaw in his career, so he needs to draw from that confidence and that experience in these late rounds. If Sanders loses his fight, he can't yell at anybody. Can't even yell at his opponent Alvarez, because he needed to be on the outside to win, not on the inside. And for the most part, he's been left alone in plenty of opportunities and moments on the outside to do work. Just watch right here. Sanders being left on the outside. It's up to him to do something with that geography.
Sanders just hesitates, doesn't fire off. Alvarez goes to work a bit. Now a right hand from Sanders was off the mark. Comes in with a lead left uppercut.
There's that bouncing again. Every time after Alvarez either he takes care of defense, he finishes trying to deal with the punches coming at him, or he finishes a combination of his own. When he gets out, he resets by bouncing.
There's a good example of you talk about Sanders just not being busy. Opportunity was there.
Where he's going to put himself in huge risk. I think that it'll be an interesting match how he comes back off a knockout. And I think it's going to be a chance for our audience to get a peek at the pure ability of somebody at that level. The speed, the southpaw style of Zab Judah.
Zab Judah, his 2nd appearance on Friday Night Fights this year. Of course, his other fight this year was against Cotto, a thriller in New York. Cotto, Ring Magazine's #1 ranked welterweight right now, getting set for his matchup against #3 Shane Mosley. Will be in studio with Brian Kenny. 88-84, Atlantic City's Alvarez on top of Teddy's scorecard. Round number 10. Germaine Sanders has never been past 10 rounds. Alvarez has gone 12 rounds, coming off of his last fight, a decision win.
Step back.
Oh, that was a good combination with the right hook and then the left hand right on the chin. And Sanders tries to return fire after being nailed, and he does so, scoring well upstairs, as now Alvarez holds on a bit.
Some good work here by Sanders and some tricks by Sanders. Watch him. Watch his feet. He's using that ability, as we talked about early on, of being able to turn from orthodox to his natural hand.
There he is.
Of southpaw. Look at that.
Right there.
That's giving Alvarez some problems right now. 1 minute, he's being attacked by an orthodox fighter. The next minute, the punches are coming from other angles.
Good shot from Alvarez now. Fans on their feet here in his hometown.
Well, right now, we like what we see. But Sanders doing it geography-wise in the wrong place, in close, and that favors the shorter man.
Action-packed 10th round. Alvarez has dug in here in the last 30 seconds.
And again, there's going to be opportunities, I believe, for two things for Alvarez. He gets inside, no problem. And then, of course, Sanders covers up and stands straight. Opportunities for Alvarez to work downstairs and then the uppercut. Split that guard when Sanders stands straight.
Alvarez just off the mark with that left hand. Flicks out that right jab. Sanders falls forward, misses, and then they tie up. Franciosi separates him.
Again, you see Sanders on the outside. That's where I think he must do work. He's got the long arms. He's got chances for that right hand.
Couple shots to the body. Closing out a good-looking 10th round.
Last round, both men taking turns. First, Sanders took his turn. He turned to a southpaw. Alvarez did not expect it. Now Alvarez, the southpaw, comes right back and fires an interesting match, an interesting round. Could be an interesting score on the judges' cards that last round.
Very entertaining 10th round from two guys who are turned, you know, stylists, technicians, boxers, but they had some good exchanges there in round number 10, and now uncharted waters here for Germaine Sanders, the 11th round, first time in his career he has seen an 11th round. Alvarez has the confidence of just winning a 12-round fight. He's here in his hometown.
You know, if I was, you just talked a magic word, you said confidence, so important in that squared circle, so important in anything in life. If I was Sanders, I would grab some confidence for the stretch run just by the body language of Alvarez. He's coming out boxing a little bit. He hasn't done that all night long. So he's boxing a little bit. That tells me, hey, I affected him a little bit. And whether that tells me that or not, I'm going to tell myself that. Because I'm looking to have a case to step it up and believe I can step it up. So if you're Sanders, you say, hey, you see Alvarez come out at the beginning, move a little bit, you say to yourself, hey, let me take advantage of that. Let me understand that I affected him more than I might have thought I affected him. And most important, let me continue in that direction. Now you're seeing a jab, not just a pulling setup punch by Sanders, but an effective left hand. You haven't seen that for the most part all night long. That could be a surprise for Alvarez.
Definitely use more of it.
You know, he's been worried about the right hand all night. All of a sudden, the left hand starts coming. In his mind, he kind of went to sleep on that side a little bit, maybe. Again, the shorter Alvarez being allowed to walk in and pitch because nothing on the outside consistently from Sanders.
Sanders trying to corral him, cut off the ring a bit.
Yeah, but more importantly than cutting the ring, Alvarez tried to sneak punch Sanders, try to set him up and fight him in a little bit and catch him by surprise with a timed shot. Just missed him.
Just missed, step back the other way.
Look, he's moving. He's using that movement now, Alvarez, to try to set up a sneak shot. But Sanders taking advantage of that movement to be the boss, to know he's not set to punch and know that he can get aggressive and he can steal this round.
Let's listen into the final instructions that each man will receive before this 12th round.
Be smart. But I don't want you to be running around. I want you to stay in control. All right? He's becoming half steps. That's all you got to do.
He's going to come out and look for your shot.
Put your head over the bucket. You got that? Yeah. Be smart.
And
Listen,
Germaine
you want to take the
Sanders.
championship home? Sit on a bit more. You okay? All right, spin bucket. Spin right there. Spin right here. Spin right here. Listen, sit on your punches. This is the last round. Sit on those punches. Sit on your punches.
Put your hands together, Atlantic City. This is
12th and final round, and these hometown fans are looking to bring it home for Shamone Alvarez, and you could hear the difference in each corner. Obviously, the Alvarez camp confident that they are ahead on the scorecards. Their message was be smart. And George Hernandez in the corner of 37-year-old Germaine Sanders, his message was sit on your punches. 107 to 104. We will see if Sanders can sit down and get some power here that could turn things around and make a difference in this 12th round.
You know, I said it early on, setting this fight up, that it was an interesting match. I didn't know if it would be an exciting match because of the styles, but it's turned out to be a pretty good fight.
I think there have been moments where both men have made that decision to make it that kind of a fight, and that's good for the fans here.
Again, watch very closely now, because now is the time where I believe, if my scorecard is accurate, Sanders needs an opportunity probably to land that punch that can really do damage to his southpaw, the right hand. And he can get that opportunity when Sanders bounces. Just there, you saw it. Watch. There he goes. Little bounce, hitting the gloves together. Look at that bouncing there of Sanders. Now he's inside. Right there, you can see him bouncing up and down. When he's bouncing up and down on the outside, Joe, banging those gloves together, a little subtle thing, but it's important for Sanders. Right here, there's the bounce, and Sanders, that time, he walked in. Again, there's the bounce. Sanders needs to bounce his hands a little and start moving them.
As Sanders needs to be more the aggressor here in this final minute. Take to heart that message that was put forth to him before this final round.
Even though it's not a great jab, when the southpaw Alvarez throws that jab, as we said early, it serves a purpose. It keeps Sanders from working on the outside where he needs to work. Keeps him a little busy, keeps his hands in his pocket a little. Sanders needs to deliver a right hand. Or maybe he needs to turn southpaw like he did a couple rounds ago and switch it up and catch Alvarez by surprise from a different angle. One way or the other, Sanders needs a punch, a big one.
Last chance for Germaine Sanders. Can he find it?
5 seconds.
He raises his hands and goes up to the corner, but seemed like Shamone Alvarez controlled things throughout, and he receives a nice reception in his hometown. We'll find out when we come back. And it was a good night for the fans here because they got to see a fine showing from their undefeated welterweight Shamone Alvarez. He started off well, Teddy.
Alvarez did what was available for him to do. He got inside as he saw Sanders cover up, and as you said, Joe, put that welcome mat out. Then he went upstairs once in a while with the uppercut. But then
round 7, here comes Sanders.
Here comes Sanders. And he's doing it maybe from the wrong place, not using his height, going inside. But one thing he did, he started moving his hands.
Round 10 was very entertaining. We didn't know what this fight would look like stylistically. I think it was better than most probably thought it would be between Alvarez and Sanders.
Well, the style that mattered in that round was the style that Sanders used when he turned southpaw, and he was able to turn things around in his favor for a moment.
The Just for Men punch track fight recap shows Alvarez with a 242 to 149 total connect advantage. Teddy Atlas's scorecard looks this way. 116-114. Alvarez stays unbeaten on Teddy's scorecard, but what do the judges have to say about that? For that, we send it up to the ring to Generous Joe Antonacci.
Boxing fans, after 12 rounds of action for the NABO Welterweight Championship, we go
to the judges' scorecards. Judge John Potteray scores the bout 117 to 112. While your judges George Hill and Sharif Rashada both score the bout 115 to 113. Or for your winner by unanimous decision, and still NABO welterweight champion from Atlantic City, New Jersey, Shamone "The Truth" Alvarez.
I know he gets the belt. Does he get the hat?
The hat stays on Sanders. The trinket wrapped around the waist of Shamone Alvarez. Good job by both men. Alvarez advances himself to 19-0. We'll likely be seeing him down the road elsewhere in the welterweight division. Ryan Kenny, I apologize.